guys, today we'll be making an adorable poofy fall deco mesh wreath. What you will need, I have an 18-inch wreath ring, an adorable sign for the center, a roll of 21-inch deco mesh, and also several rolls of 6-inch deco mesh. I have black, orange, a combination of black, white, and orange, and then I have some burlap ribbon. You can even go with 10-inch mesh, whatever you prefer. As far as the ribbon, I have it here just in case I decide to use it. I want to kind of get started and see what it's looking like. Scissors and a rotary cutter, Chanel stems, and a hot glue gun. Alright, let's get started. Okay, so first thing I like to do is place all of my stems, and I have several videos showing you different methods and different ways you can place Chanel stems on a wreath, just depending on the style of wreath you're making, and also personal preference. So check out those videos in the description box down below. But for this specific wreath, I'm going to use a full stem, and I'm going to place it around the inner two rings and twist it a couple of times. And the next one I'm going to place on the outer two rings. Just like that. And since this is the 18-inch wreath ring, I just go with 2 stems in each section. But usually if I'm using the 21-inch deco mesh, then 2 stems in each section is more than enough. So I'm just going to get all of these stems in place, and then we will start placing our mesh. Sometimes I do cut the stems in half, but since I'm using the longer, thicker 21-inch deco mesh, I chose to keep the stems longer. But if I'm using like the 6-inch deco mesh, I would definitely cut the stems in half. Alright, so I have all of the stems in place. 2 stems in each of my 8 sections for a total of 16 stems. Now I'm going to start placing the 21-inch deco mesh. Alright, so I'm going to start by taking my mesh and rolling it to a nice little point. It kind of already does it itself pretty much. Nice little point. And I'm going to start on the outer ring, place my mesh, and twist it a couple of times. Just like that. I'm going to pull to make a nice poof. You could measure the mesh for each poof if you want to make sure they're exactly the same. I kind of just estimate because I make them as uniform as possible, but they don't have to be the exact same. Again, if you choose to actually measure each poof, you can do so, and that's how you can make sure they are the exact same. Just like that. So again, pull to make a nice poof. And come to the next outer stem. So I'm going to go all the way around on the outer ring and then come back to the inner ring. So instead of going here next, I'm going to follow along from this outer stem to this outer stem. And the stems will move a little as you're placing your mesh. Don't worry too much. The more mesh you get placed, the more stable they will become. Alright, so I'm coming back to my starting point. Again, I'm just going to make one more poof and place it on the exact stem that I started with. You can just continue on to the inner ring, or you can cut the mesh and start over on the inner ring. I've done it both ways. It just depends on how I'm feeling. So this time I'm just going to cut the mesh and start over on the inner ring. And then I'm just going to tuck that away. And then repeat the same steps on my inner ring. Pull my mesh to a point, place it in my stem, and twist it a couple of times. And start making more poofs on the inner ring, just like I did on the outer ring. And I'm making the inner ring just a little bit poofier, just because my sign is going to be around it, and I think it'll look so cute and adorable that way. Alright, I'm going to continue going and show you what it looks like. Again, coming back to my starting point, placing my mesh and twisting it. And then just cutting away the excess. And tucking it away. Alright, so now I'm just going to kind of poof out all of my poofs, making sure they're nice and poofy. You can make your poofs however large and poofy or small as you want them to be. I'm just going to flare them out before we start adding more mesh. Makes a very poofy, nice sized wreath. I've cut 8-inch long pieces of my orange, my black, and my multicolor mesh, and also of my black burlap. I decided not to go with the orange burlap this time. So what I'm going to do is roll my mesh at a diagonal. And I'm just going to kind of crisscross each of the pieces. Just like that. And then take my burlap and I'm going to put it right at the back, but I wanted to kind of have the orange in front of it, just so you're able to see the orange against the base orange. Alright, scrunch it, find my inner stem, place my mesh, twist it a couple of times, and since I'm not adding anything else, I'm going to go ahead and tuck away my stem. Then I'm just going to maneuver it, make sure it's exactly how I want it to be. Sometimes I do kind of alternate the order of my bundles just so you can kind of see the different colors. Scrunch, come to my second stem, place my bundle, twist it a couple of times, and then tuck it away. If you were going to add something else, of course you wouldn't tuck the stems away just yet. And you also have the option of not tucking the stems at all if you choose, since they do coordinate with the colors of your wreath. You could kind of curl the stems and make it an extra little part of the decor. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So you can take your scissors and just kind of curl it a little bit. Just like that. So, personal preference. Alright, I'm going to show you one more bundle. I kind of place my pieces of mesh crisscross so that you're able to see each color and it's not hidden behind each other. I'm going to tuck it away and I kind of flare out and fluff my mesh once again. Just like that. Alright, I'm going to continue doing that all the way around the inner ring. Alright, so my inner ring is complete. Just flaring out and fluffing out all of my mesh just to make sure it's nice and poofy. It's so cute and precious already. Now I'm going to add mesh to the outer ring, except I'm not going to add the burlap to the outer ring. I'm only going to add deco mesh. You could add burlap throughout the wreath if you choose to do so. You can leave off burlap altogether. Whatever you prefer. So the inner ring, so cute and precious. Let's go on to the outer ring. Alright, so I have added all of my mesh. It's so cute and poofy. You can definitely add more, less, whatever you prefer. You could finish off just like this. It's so cute and precious already. You can add any additional embellishments. You can add in an adorable sign to the center, whatever you prefer. Sometimes I leave it like this. This time I'm going to add an adorable sign to the center. Here's the adorable sign I have for the center. I'm just going to cut off the top little hanger, flip it over. Take 2 stems, twist them together to form one long stem for the top and one for the bottom. And then I'm just going to hot glue it in place. I just make sure I leave enough extra stem hanging off of the side so I can easily attach it to my sign. I'm just kind of pushing everything outward. I'm going to snugly place the sign in the center. And then I'm going to push the mesh aside and I'm going to twist the stem around the actual wreath ring a couple of times just to make sure it's nice and secure. And then I'll replace my mesh just to cover any gaps or spaces. And I'm going to repeat this step for all 4 stems. Just fluffing up and flaring out my mesh, and I'm also making sure I cover any unnecessary gaps or spaces. Looks so cute and precious. Again, you can add in even more embellishments if you choose. You can add in some adorable little pumpkins or leaves or any other fun decor that you can find. Or again, you can leave off the sign and the extra embellishments altogether and just go with the deco mesh. You can do that as well. The possibilities are endless. Just have fun with it and make it your own. But it's so cute, simple, and easy to make.